I Am Brave, an HCU-friendly tale written by Liz Carter, illustrations by Jana Malecek. This book was made possible through support from Aglia Biotherapeutics. Copyright 2022 by Liz Carter and Jana Malecek. All rights reserved. Recorded by Kelly Waters. I'm gonna miss you guys so much. Oh, why do we have to move? I mean, I know we aren't technically that far away, but I don't want to go to a new school. Don't worry, Colby. You know we'll still hang out on weekends, replied Gabby. Yeah, we can go rollerblading on Saturdays and have spend the night parties like we always do, added Josie. Promise you guys won't forget about me, Colby asked, looking at her two best friends, who she had met when they were all in the same kindergarten class at Brookview Elementary. Promise, the girls said together, their voices echoing through the air. Come on, let's jump in, yelled Josie, grabbing Colby's arm and pulling her towards the pool. Colby and Gabby especially loved to meet at Josie's house after school and on weekends, where they would swim in the pool for hours or until they got bored and decided to watch their favorite shows on Netflix. Today they were having one last get-together before starting a new school year the very next day. Girls, time for lunch, Josie's mom yelled out. Time to dry off. Woohoo! I'm starving, said Josie. Me too, said Colby and Gabby at the same time before looking at one another and saying, Jinx! Last one there has to clean up, yelled Gabby, and the three girls took off racing for the door. The smell of pizza filled the kitchen. I called the biggest piece, said Gabby, reaching for a plate. As Gabby and Josie began piling slices of pizza onto their plates, Colby walked over to the refrigerator to take out her lunchbox. Miss Ruth, can I borrow a spoon? I forgot to pack one for my yogurt. Of course, Colby, help yourself, replied Josie's mom, motioning toward a drawer next to the sink. As the girls sat down to eat, Colby started to unpack her lunch. Yes, a new flavor of low-protein yogurt, raspberry vanilla. I was starting to get a little tired of blueberry. Can I taste it? Gabby asked, reaching towards Colby's spoon. Sure, you'll like it, said Colby, pushing the cup of coconut milk yogurt toward Gabby. Delish, Gabby said, shoving a heaping spoonful into her mouth. I'll just have one more slice, said Josie, opening the box of pizza and looking inside. You better save room for cake, yelled Colby. Colby's mom had baked and sent over a gluten-free vanilla cake topped with whipped vanilla icing and sprinkles that happened to be low in protein. Duh, replied Josie. Your mom's cakes are the best. As the girls finished up their slices of cake, the doorbell rang. It was Colby's mom. Colby took one last bite of cake and looked at her friends. She felt a sudden rush of emotion come over her, and tears began to fill her eyes. Noticing her sudden change of emotion, Josie and Gabby both swooped Colby into a giant hug. Nothing is going to change, Colby. We're always going to be best friends, said Gabby. Yeah, we'll always be here, echoed Josie, looking Colby straight in the eyes and wiping away her tears. Colby knew that her two best friends meant what they said, and she felt a bit of her sadness melt away. Colby, time to go, honey, said Colby's mom, pointing to her watch. Colby said one last goodbye to her friends and got into the car. As the car engine started, Colby looked out of the window. She took a deep breath and waved goodbye to Josie and Gabby. Did you have a nice time? Colby's mom asked. Uh-huh. Colby replied quietly. Noticing Colby didn't seem her usual bubbly self, her mom asked, Is everything okay, honey? I'm just nervous about school tomorrow, Colby replied softly. What if I don't find new friends? What if the other kids ask me questions about my homocystinuria or make fun of my formula? They don't know me like Josie and Gabby and all my friends from my old school. Stopping at a red light, Colby's mama looked over at her and put her hand on Colby's cheek. Oh, sweetheart, don't worry. You will make friends in no time because you are a kind-hearted girl and people see that. Remember, your HCU is only a small part of who you are, and it is not something to be ashamed of. You just tell them that you are rare and special. Mom, Colby replied, rolling her eyes but allowing a smile to stretch across her face. Colby's mom pulled into the driveway. As soon as the car parked, Colby jumped out, flew through the front door of her new house, and ran upstairs to her room. Feeling nervous and a bit overwhelmed about starting fresh at a new school the next day, Colby decided that she needed some alone time to relax. She plopped on her bed and reached for the little pink notebook on her bedside table. Grabbing a pen out of the drawer, Colby began to write in her journal. Colby loved to write, and journaling was her way of getting out her thoughts and feelings, which usually helped her to feel better. So tomorrow is my first day at my new school, and I'm feeling kind of uneasy. I mean, what if I don't have anyone to sit with at lunch? And then there's, of course, the whole low-protein diet and formula thing. It's hard enough being the new kid, but having to eat different food and drink a formula just makes me stick out. Mom says I should try to stay positive and that I'll make friends in no time. I hope she's right. That night, as Colby got ready for bed, she laid out her outfit for the next day. She brushed her teeth and hugged her parents goodnight. And as she laid her head down on the pillow, she reminded herself of what her mom and dad always told her. I'm brave, and I can do hard things. And she drifted off to sleep. Colby, time to wake up for your first day of school, Colby heard her mom whisper in her ear. Colby pulled the covers over her face and rolled over. Just 5 more minutes, Mom, Colby said as she let out a yawn. No, honey, we don't want to be late. Rise and shine. Okay, Colby yelled, throwing the covers aside and stepping out of bed. When Colby came down for breakfast, she noticed that the smell of something burning filled the air. Dad, did you burn the toast again? You know me, burned toast is my specialty, chuckled Colby's dad. Colby always liked to eat the same thing for breakfast on school days. A piece of low-protein toast with butter and jelly and a small bowl of fruit. After finishing off the last bite of fruit, Colby took her vitamins, B6, B12, and folic acid. Then she mixed her betaine with a bit of juice and slugged it down. Colby mixed her formula with some chocolate Ovaltine, as she always did, to drink on the 10-minute car ride to school. Ready, Mom? Colby yelled, grabbing her book bag and scooping her lunchbox off the counter. It's now or never, Colby whispered under her breath as she headed out the door to her mom's car. When Colby arrived at school, she felt butterflies in her stomach. As she walked down the hallway of her new school toward her classroom, she took another deep breath. I am brave, and I can do hard things, she reminded herself. As lunchtime grew near, Colby began to have thoughts swirling around in her head. Who will I sit with in the cafeteria? What if they ask questions about my diet and formula? What if they tease me for being different? Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of the teacher, Miss Stevenson's voice. Okay, class, remember to enter through the door to the left. Once you arrive, you may sit where you'd like. And be sure to clean up your mess before leaving to go back to class. Whoa, this cafeteria is much bigger than the one at my old school, Colby told her classmates, a seemingly nice girl with long blonde hair named Sarah and a boy named Cale. As they sat down together at a table near the back of the cafeteria, Colby began to unpack her lunch as her 2 new friends began to eat. Colby was starving. She wasn't used to waiting until almost 1 p.m. to eat lunch. She gobbled her granola bar before opening her low-pro coconut milk yogurt and a small pack of crackers. Then she took out her formula and took a sip. What's that, Colby? Asked Sarah, looking at the bottle. Colby paused for a second before blurting out, Formula? Formula? Cale asked, looking puzzled. Yep. Why do you have to drink formula? It's complicated, Colby replied, hoping that would end the conversation. You mean like the stuff babies drink? Asked Sarah, looking at Colby for a response. No, not like that. It's a formula that gives me vitamins and other important stuff that my body needs. You see, Colby mumbled nervously, hoping the right words would come out. I have to be on a special diet. Sarah and Cale sat quietly for a moment before Cale replied, Oh yeah, my little brother is allergic to peanuts, so he can't eat them. Is it like that? After noticing that neither Sarah nor Kale were laughing or acting strangely, Colby began to relax. Not exactly, responded Colby. I can't have animal products or things with a lot of protein. So you're vegan? Asked Kale. His head tilted to the side as if trying to figure out a puzzle. Kind of, yes, Colby nodded. Cool, said Kale before turning to Sarah. You can eat that? He asked, pointing to a cup of fruit that remained on her lunch tray. No, you can have it, Sarah responded, handing over the cup. Feeling relieved that the conversation had turned away from herself, Colby took a sigh of relief. Maybe this won't be so hard, she thought, as she took one last sip of formula. Well, how did school go today, her mom asked, as Colby hopped into the car. Good, exclaimed Colby. Did you meet any new friends? Yep, 2 kids from my class, Sarah and Kale. I'm so glad. I knew you'd make friends in no time, her mom said back happily. When they got home, Colby put her book bag down and headed up to her room. She grabbed her journal and began to write. So today was good. I was really nervous about meeting new people, and especially nervous about lunchtime. But everything was fine. I don't know what I was so worried about. I met 2 new friends, Sarah and Kale, and they seem really nice. I hope I can sit with them in the cafeteria again tomorrow. Colby closed her journal and put it back on the bedside table. She thought for a second and had an idea. Maybe planning out how she would explain her HCU to her new friends if they asked questions tomorrow would help her to not be so nervous. This way, she would have a plan and no one have to stumble over her words so much. She thought about questions that people had asked her before. Then Colby reached for her journal and flipped it back open. Question. What does HCU mean? Why would you have to be on a special diet? Answer. It's complicated, but I have a metabolic disorder where I can't have protein. I will get sick if I have too much protein. Question. What is that formula for? Is that milk? Answer. It's something for my diet. It gives me vitamins that I need. Question. Will you outgrow it? Answer. No, it will be with me forever. Question. Can I have just a bite? Answer. No, I have to stick to my diet. Question. Do you ever get sad that you can't eat things that everyone else can eat? Answer. Not really. There's a lot of things I can have. There, Colby said out loud, closing her journal. That should help. The next day at lunch, Colby was ready. She knew the topic of her diet might come up again, and she felt confident, having prepared some ideas in her journal the night before. As Colby unpacked her formula and took a sip from her straw, she decided to be brave. She looked at Sarah and then at Kale. Guys, she started, I have something called HCU. It stands for Homocystinuria. It's complicated, but it pretty much means that I have a metabolic disorder where I can't have protein. I will get sick if I have too much protein. Colby paused, waiting for a response. I'm sorry, Kale responded. It's okay. I'm used to it, Colby answered back. Sarah didn't say anything. She just smiled and continued to eat her lunch. That night, as Colby finished up a little bit of math homework, she thought back to the conversation from the cafeteria. She wondered what her new friends thought about what she had told them. She had never really been embarrassed about her HCU before, but being at a new school with new people, the last thing she wanted was to feel different. Just then, Colby heard a ding from her phone. It was a text from Sarah. It read, Hey Colby, it's Sarah. I just wanted to say thank you for opening up to me today about your disorder. I didn't really want to say anything earlier, but I have diabetes. I have to check my blood sugar a couple times during the day, and I have to watch what I eat too. I don't usually tell people at school that because I'm embarrassed. But when you told me about your HCU, it gave me the courage. So thank you. Colby felt a huge sigh of relief come over her. She typed a response and hit send. Thanks. See you tomorrow. That night, Colby went to sleep feeling great. Not only had she already made new friends at her new school, but she also felt super proud of herself. I am brave, and I can do hard things, she heard herself whisper, and she drifted off to sleep. While the story is fictional, the characters are all real young people living with HCU. They live in different parts of the country, but were brought together by a shared condition, homocystinuria. They have formed friendships that reach beyond the physical distance and prove a sense of support for each other. HCU is always a part of our daily lives, but it is only a small piece of who they are. Those who know the young people featured in this story describe them as Colby, a fearless and outgoing lover of animals who has a heart of gold. Josie, a playful daydreamer who reads and dances her way through the day and asks her parents questions they can't answer. Gabby, a passionate artist with a heart for helping others. Kale, an energetic sports lover whose kindness shines through to everyone he meets. Sarah, a determined athletic lover of people who shines God's light into the world each day. Classical homocystinuria, or HCU, is a rare, inherited metabolic condition. People with HCU cannot break down the amino acids methionine and homocysteine in their bodies. Methionine, MET, is found in most foods that contain protein. HCU is a severe medical condition that can be treated with a special HCU medical formula and low-protein diet, and some vitamins and other medicines. To learn more about HCU or to access helpful resources, visit www.hcunetworkamerica.org, www.hcunetworkaustralia.org.au, and www.aglia.com. I Am Brave, an HCU-friendly tale, written by Liz Carter, illustrated by Jana Malik, recorded by Kelly Waters. Copyright 2022 by Liz Carter and Jana Malik, all rights reserved.